tell people never do this again. So you get, and there's a flower. Yeah. We started seeing it. We had Lisas and Orejonas and Robles bloom, but then there's also, that looks like that might be a maybe a Lisa. But anyway, so these, if you were to do this again, here's what you would do: is every other bucket would disappear, so every other plant would disappear, and every other row would disappear. So this is a high density grove. It was set at the height. I'm 5'7". So
that's pretty tall.
Our rails are set really high. The good news is, because we are high, we can actually get under the plants, because if they were lower, we couldn't even get through the aisles. So the height actually was a blessing. But the problem with the density in here is, when you start off with, you know, a cutting that's this big, you can imagine that every pot, it looked beautiful. Little cutting, lots of space. These plants basically started going crazy about 3 years ago. We trimmed off of this particular area. 10,000 pounds of plant material was removed in May, June, and probably 8,000 has grown back. So we can't keep up with it. And the hardest part about this is where I feel like I'm a plant hoarder, is we just don't want to kill the plants, but we literally, to get this garden right, we have to remove 50% of the plants.
Wow.
So
and as a backyard grower, I mean, this is about how far away mine are from
yeah, it's okay though.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But it's still gonna wind up looking like this.
Yeah, just keep your plant, but you can manage your plants.
Yeah.
Like if we only had 10 plants,
Yeah.
we could manage them, but unfortunately,
Right.
you know, you have so many things you can do in a day, and so that's where the problem comes in. So a high density grow for a production farm, it would not be recommended in this style. And then we tell people who are looking to do farms, we tell them, when you make your aisles, make it so that you can get a tractor through or a mower through or something through, because we have shade cloth on this particular grove, but in other groves we don't, and so we have to hand line trim because we're organic. We don't use any chemical here, and so hand line trimming, where we could have put tractors through on the outer lots where it's flat, would have been more useful than having to have somebody on a line trimmer. So,
Okay.
so different things to see, but I love, for a trellis system, a lot of the best trellis system was replicated off of this. It was just enhanced. But I love this system, and I would do this system all day long. I think Gray uses that a version of that system. His might be, he used recycled materials. I don't know what he's doing now, but just having two rails and the plant folding over is really great.
I have on one side on the side where it's really kind of scarce for the room, I have it's PVC. I'm going to wind up putting probably rebar in there to
support
to
it.
support it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of like that. It comes up over the edge.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. If we were to redo this grove, literally, like we would lower it. We would take out one of the aisles, and I would do this everywhere.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's a great way of growing. You can get to both sides. The plants like it. It distributes the weight really well. So when you're in here too, this used to have somewhat of a rhyme and reason, and then there was just a time where like a plant would die and it would just get a plant in there. But a lot of these plants are from, so Tierra Buena is the first plants, and then this is the second wave of plants in here. So a lot of our mother plants are in here. You see different varieties. There was a really cool rhyme and reason when they planted. They have a lot of Lisa and Orejona in between, and it's great because what we have found, I would do it differently today, but it was set up where it could sustain itself from a pollen standpoint, because different varieties were placed throughout. Okay. So the concept, for sure, we hand pollinate every single flower. We do not, we just decided that was our mission on this farm.
Sure.
So for us, it doesn't matter now. So if I could reset up the grove, I would have sections of Lisas and Orejonas and Robles. I would just have them all more blocked together. And then we could collect the pollen because they wave. What you'll find is typically they have their own waves. So we call it a red tip flower. So Orejona, Lisa, and Robles tend to wave together.
Okay.
The pollen is not necessarily the greatest for Robles. Lisa and Orejona, it brings the Robles flavor down. But the pollen we feel from these guys helps do a really good set. Plus it's prolific. And so if we have like 30,000 blooms, it's unbelievable how much pollen you go through, and so these guys create tons of pollen, and then so we'll collect tons of pollen buckets, and let's say then the next wave was PG, which typically is the next wave, and PG you need pollen for. You can't. I mean, PG will not pollinate itself. So then our wave we have all of that pollen, and PG doesn't produce huge amounts of pollen. So it's kind of cool that we have these different varieties, and I wouldn't get rid of them. I wouldn't say, oh, this is what we call our top 5, but it's our top 5 for pollen. Sure. Top 3 for pollen.
Okay, see, look at this here, Corey. This is one that started out as a bud that went to a branch. Down here in the bottom, see that?
Oh yeah, right there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Started out as a bud and then went to a branch.
This plant has gone. This was a replaced plant. You can see when you see this still here. It was a replaced plant because we pulled because I was so concerned. Maybe about 4 years ago, that this was a disease, and so we decided to pull the plant and we planted a new one in there. And then last winter, like the plant does the same, so we don't worry about it now.